Let's get it. What is going on? What's goody? Got the whole crew here. Skeme will be hopping in a minute. What's going on, fellas? Salute to Krash. Salute to Paul. What's going on, man? How y'all doing today, man?
Good. Thank you.
Doing good, brother. Doing good.
All right. I guess nobody took their hype pill today, so let's continue. I'm over here like, yo, what's going on, fellas?
Yeah, you bringing that energy, bro.
You're like,
bringing that energy.
Good. What you up to? Yo, what's going on, fellas? Salute to everybody who's hanging out with us, who came in, who hopped out, who kept coming back in. Shout out to y'all. And let's get into this chat real quick, man, before we get into this cheers. And let's just see what's up, who's hanging out with us. We got Unruly Simeon. Salute, my brother. You already know. That is Comic Relief original. And then, of course, we got X11 Bravo Comics. Salute. Thank you for hopping in, man, hanging out with us. Of course, we got Mr. Paulie back issues. What's going on, brother? Big salute. We got Hambro Low 12. What's going on, man? Salute. Who else we got in here, man? Oh, here we go. We got another aficionado. Big Daddy. What's going on, John?
What's up, John?
Salute. Of course, we got another family up in here. Big Leroy. What's good, my brother? Salute. Oh, we got the homie. Let's go. Daryl, what's good, man? Read your comics.
What's up, Daryl? I gotta mail that book out.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I promise.
I forget about you, Daryl.
I got you.
Don't worry, I got you. And of course, we got the homie of all homies. What's going on, Justin? Salute.
Up,
Originator,
Justin?
what's going on, man? And let's see who else we got hanging out here. Who we got over here? Nicholas, what's good, man? Salute. Thank you for hanging out with us, brother. Always appreciate you stopping by. Let's see who else we got in here. We got the homie. Oh, another homie just hopped in. What up, David? What's going on, brother?
Professor, what's good?
Professor, what's good? And of course, we got DJ Wiz. Salute, my brothers. Always a pleasure seeing you, man. Doing this thing, man. He was actually rocking out today at 3:00, man. I saw that, man. Salute to you, my brother. Always a pleasure, man. And let's see. Hold on a second. This chat just jumped on me. All right, man. I think we caught up right now. We got 12 people hanging out with us. Salute to everybody hanging out. Salute to everybody catching this replay. Real quick, let's go into the cheers. Y'all already know if y'all drinking, salute to you. Cheers to you. Thank you for hanging out with us. Gonna be a great night. Cheers, my brothers. Salute,
cheers, gentlemen.
Y'all already know. Got the Henny on deck. Got the Stella, and my brother got some. What you got in that red cup, brother?
I got a good old glass of water.
Salute to you. Here you go, man. I got my glass of water too, brother. Gotta stay hydrated. Gotta stay hydrated. You know what I'm saying?
We come prepared, bro.
You know what I'm saying? This ain't our first rodeo. All right. So, guys, I'm excited, man. As you already know, love having these conversations. And today we're gonna be talking about, I don't know, man. I think CGC really got people messed up on this grading, man. You know, I'm like feeling some type of ways about this right now. You know, hold on a second.
That I am.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, like, I know some people will probably wonder, like, what exactly do we mean that grading, you know, are kind of like, you know, hindrance people's ability to grade books, you know. And one of the things that I noticed, you know, in the community in the last, you know, couple months, as you meet people and stuff, and people tend to overlook the book and focus on the grade. And now, if you're not somebody who's accustomed to dealing with raw books, and you're just looking at a book based on a number that is a value, and you're not really looking at the book and you're just looking at that number, you know, I could see where your perception on grading is already going to be skewed, you know, in the sense that you're allowing this you know, company to tell you this book is an 8.0, right? So instantly you're thinking in your mind it's 8.0. And I've noticed people don't even look at the book, they look at the number and they're like, yo, this is 8.0. And if they ask you, hey, look at this, you know, slab, what do you think? You're like, bro, what about this big blotch that's right here and all these nicks and, you know, color, you know, deformation and discoloration over here? And you're like, bro, this ain't even graded properly. Like, you know, if we seen that a lot, we know CGC, there's no standard. So you could take the same book, send it back fucking 5 times, you're gonna get 5 different grades, man.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because there's
Consistency.
right, you're dealing with different people, different eyes. You know, people make mistakes, they're not gonna get it right. So like,
Daryl knows what's up down here. Exactly.
Yeah,
Good,
exactly.
very good. Exactly.
Right, good, very good, fine, very fine.
There was nothing wrong with that back in the day.
Nothing wrong with that, and it's funny because we're gonna actually tap into that a little bit later on. We're actually gonna, you know, touch into the whole concept of the differences and how we got the number scale, and you actually have the words and the normal way of grading the book originally was, you know, and I'm not gonna say normal, but I guess the original way of grading, you know, and it's very crucial, man, when you and people don't even know what that means. You know, when you tell somebody, I've had people tell me, you know, oh man, this book is like very fine, and you look at it and you're like, on what planet, my dude? Like very fine? Like we could go down the freaking book, and I could show you how that's not a very fine book, man. That's probably a, you know, a very good plus at best. You know what I mean?
Me out too on eBay. I'll see a seller with a book like that. You know, it's like VG at best, and they're calling it VF, great copy, high grade. And then I'll check their feedback, and it's 100%. So I don't know who's buying these books and who does. Like if I buy a book and you calling it that, and it shows up, it looks like shit. You ain't getting 100% feedback. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. And we got another brother. Salute.
Yep.
Skeme,
What up? What up? Bro?
It's official. We got the 4 horsemen in the house hanging out. Let's go. Let's get it. Skeme, how's your day? Real quick. How you been, brother?
Yo, I'm maintaining, man. I'm maintaining. You know, Krash is here, Paul is here, Morbius is here,
man.
and y'all
We're here.
Y'all complaining about CGCs again. Come on.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's talk about it.
Skeme was outside keeping that grass real green. Holy shit, bro. That shit is on point. Look like a golf course.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, brother, what the hell you doing, man? Like,
y'all got to keep my lawn looking right, man. Like,
no doubt.
Yeah, and it is looking right, brother. Looking beautiful, actually.
It's got some issues, but you know, I'm about
to bring my clubs down there.
You don't post those issues. You keep that to yourself, okay?
Oh, that was the greenest little patch right there.
No, you know, it's got some like it's got a little bit of like clovers in it, and you know, I need to like get out on Saturday morning and, you know,
start eating and shit. Yeah,
put some new seeds down, but it looks good though.
That's what's up, man. Wow. Glad to hear, my brother. Back to CGC. Okay, let's get into it. So, what we was talking, Skeme, basically the avenue that we're traveling down right now is that what we've realized, you know, as a lot of times me and Paul has been in this situation. Paul himself has been in this situation recently where people have been like, hey, pick out this graded, you know, copy, whatever, you know, CGC, it's a 9 point something, or it could be a 6.0, 7, whatever it is. And they're like, man, they want this amount for it. You're like, man, really? Okay, let me look at this. And you look at it, and it's almost like you look at the person and you're just like, bro, did you like look at the book? Or you're just saw the grade and was like, yo, it's 8.0.
I saw that number up on the top.
And it's like, yo, that's it. But then when you look at the book and you're like, man, this shit is not what you think it is. Like, it's got all types of stuff on it that really does not equate to the grade, because as we know, not every grade is exact. You know what I mean? We're dealing with inconsistencies, so we got that. We figured that part out, right? But it seems like when you're not experienced with handling raw books and dealing with raw books in the sense that you could assess it yourself based on how the original way it was, you know, very good, you know, good plus, you know, whatever. Then it goes into fine minus or very good fine. And then you go into fine minus and then fine plus, you know, and then you start working your way up, which if those who don't know, I did load it up and I'll be bringing it back again, you know, because I do want to keep bringing this up. But basically here it is, you know, it's so you're looking at the chart, and a lot of times people don't understand the actual words equating to the actual number value. They're just stuck on the number value and don't understand the word parts of it, which is what we grew up on. You know what I mean? So, and it's based on us handling raw books, you know, and looking at them and gauging that and understanding that this means this amount of ticks and spines, this amount of wear, discoloration, loss of glossiness, whatever, you know, the inside pages, you know, all those equate to this, you know, status that we put on a grade, right? That we say,
Right.
oh, it's a very fine or something, you know. And but what I'm realizing, you know, hanging out with, you know, talking to Paul recently, we were like, man, we keep running into this where people are like, man, this is like a very fine or this is an 8.0, right? They'll be like, oh, this is an 8.0, and you look at it, you're like, man, that's like very good plus at best. Like that's
Morb,
not,
see, I would argue that that's a skill set that currently is no longer really is valued. Now, mind you, I'm speaking from a standpoint of a person that has never been to a comic convention. Okay, so keep that in mind. That there's a certain level of ignorance that I'm speaking from. But my point of view basically is just being the devil's advocate that that skill set is not necessary for the simple fact that the currency right now is, because we have more of an online market than we used to have, it's now more necessary to have someone that has enough respect and skin in the game that someone's going to trust the word and say, okay, this is the standard. Whether we agree with it or not, right now that's the currency of the comic book community and how they trade in high value books. So whether they know how to grade or not, they don't give a shit. They just send it to CGC because to them, that's their currency. And that's what they need to know. Most people that like us that know this stuff, for us, we really don't care, you know, about that stuff. Because me personally, if I'm buying a comic book, right, and it's not graded, somebody's trying to sell me a book saying the reason I'm selling this book at this price is because I believe it's this number. I mean, we can, you know, an opinion's like an asshole. Everybody has one. We can all have opinions. But at the end of the day, me personally, I'm not going to honor his system, and I'm not going to even argue with him. If that's what he believes he should sell it for because he believes that's the grade on it, I'll tell him no, it's not. But if that's what you want to sell it for, boom, I'm done. And because we're in a market where there's 8 million other people I can go to, I don't have to just settle for this dude. That means for me, I just keep that out of my atmosphere. Say, okay, cool, that's what you want to sell it for. Cool, good luck. Next.
You know what, Krash? I like you because you are the voice of reason between this guy and this guy. You are the voice of reason.
Man, listen, that's not my currency. I don't agree with their grading. So I mean,
no, you know, like I agree with you, Krash. Like if you know it's not an 8.0 or whatever the grade is, keep it moving.
Yeah, move along. Yeah.
You know, I mean, because my thing is when we grew up, I at least I know when I grew up, I didn't trust anyone that wasn't a certain age to grade a book. Right. You had to be the old dude that owned a comic shop.
Right.
For 30 years for me to trust you grading a book.
Right.
Right now we are more now connected where it's like we know what a 6.0 looks like and we know what an 8.0 looks like. We kind of know, right? We're like, yeah, we might be a 0.5 off or whatever, but that's all subject to whoever's grading it. Somebody more strict or less strict. But it's just like keep it moving. I mean, there hasn't been this many people grading books ever. Right? Like I feel like everyone's a grader now. Whether professional.
When you say grading books, what do you mean by that?
Meaning like everyone, like if you went to a comic
shop professionally or just like
you went to a shop and it just had VG minus on it and that was it. You know what I'm saying? On the label. That's what it was. Now the guys are like, oh, it's an 8.0. Well, how do you know it's an 8.0? Like, you know, like there's too many people giving their opinion on the grade. And when you look at it, you're like, no, there's ticks, there's whatever. Here's a legit 8.0 of the same book. So how is this an 8.0 and that's an 8? Are you trying to tell me mine is a 9.0?
Right.
You know, like a lot of these guys are just they're just off, and it's a money catch because they're like, oh, it's an 8.0. And then I can't really see it on eBay because I can't get a close up on it. I can't. And then when you get it, ticks, corner, you know, smudges.
Yeah, I mean, just recently I saw, you know, Marvel Superheroes. What is that? 11 with the Beast. You know,
amazing pictures. Yeah.
Amazing, yeah, amazing superheroes. And dude had it. I mean, it was beat to shit. In my opinion, it was like good. You know what I mean? So, you know, very good, maybe. You know what I mean? Close to that. I mean, it had the spine roll. It was ticked up, dirty, nicky folds all over the place. and dude was saying a beautiful copy for $200.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That all the time.
And it was beat to shit. I mean, literally, like it was beat to shit. You know, and that's what I'm saying. Like that type of like level we're at right now,
right?
Where people now are like highballing these, like putting such a high grade onto shitty books, and it's a lot of it has to do because there's no experience in that. There's no knowledge in how to, and there is a breakdown on these grade, guys. If you go to the comic guidebook, you know what I mean, the original book, there is a breakdown. It tells you how many ticks.
Well, that means people actually got to work and study.
Right. And study that. There's a breakdown to that. They'll tell you, you know what I mean? There's certain
but how much of the grading is even bullshit anyway, though? Because now there's like assigned prices per like a 6.0 the whole system, right? The GPS.
Right? Exactly.
7.0 sells for this. 7.5 sells for this. 8.0 sells for this. We all probably look at it like, well, 7.0 and an 8.0, probably the same fucking book, right? I mean, close, you know, roughly. Yeah. But these guys will pay hundreds more because CGC decided on that particular day that this one's an 8.0 and that one's a 7.0, whatever. And it just,
but you know, ultimately it comes down to the buyer. Buyers have to be more.
It always comes down to the buyer, man.
Yeah, buyers have to be more educated.
Educated, man. That's all it is.
That's the unfortunate part right now. There's so many people in comic books now. Everybody sees it as a cash cow, especially because of the MCU. That you have a lot of ignorant buyers, which is going to happen in any market, and you have a lot of these people that are going to take advantage of that. So that's why, to a certain degree, I beg to differ with Morbius, how he said that people, they just don't know. Some of them, they do know. What they know is that there's people out there, buyers, that don't know. So I can throw a book with no cover on it and say it's worth this amount of money. And of course, the uneducated one's gonna be like, you know what, I'm willing to pay for that. And then boom, there you go.
Well,
I mean, no, and when I say some of them don't know, that's what I'm talking about. That circle of people who are not experienced don't know, but doesn't mean that there aren't people who do know and taking advantage. We've had that show a few episodes ago, you know, where you got people who just are taking advantage of this because it's a money thing. They're not into the book because they care about the book. It's just, I can make make money off this book.
But that's why they only care about the number, though.
The number, right? Because the number equates to a specific, you know.
Just like in the record collecting world, when you see sellers and there'll be like a chip out of the record, and it would be like, it's near mint, but just has a chip out. Well, then it's not near mint. If there's a chip out of the record and the rest of the record is clean, it's not near mint.
It's not near mint.
The record. I don't care if I can play the whole record or not, and it's on the edge.
Right.
It's not near mint. It's nowhere near mint. It's not mint. You know what I'm saying? It's a chip out of it.
Exactly. You know, and I think that's like the problem. It goes back to what I was saying, where, you know, you're starting to see this influx of people who are not really knowledgeable on what a certain grade in a ballpark. Now, when I grade something, I'm really not so specific. Because you really can't be. It's like they said, some people, you know, try to get really deep into it, and I'm not. I really am not. I have a lot of leeway in there. You know what I mean? What up, John? Let's trigger some folks. You already know. They're already getting triggered back here. So let's go back real quick. Let's go. Right, exactly.
I've been looking for that for like 5 minutes now. I knew I had it.
So, like, you got this right here. So let's start from the bottom up. See, from the bottom up, to me, those from 1.0 to 2, to me, that's fair. You know what I mean? And then I get into good to very good is from 2.0 and up to 5. I mean, yeah, roughly 5 to me is like good, very good. That's where I'm at, you know? And then and then for ranges from like 5 and up to like under 7, to me, that's fines. That's why I start calling fines. And then when I look at 7.0s up to 8.0s, that's considered to me very fine. Once you hit 9, that's to me, it's you're knocking on near mints. You know what I mean? When you start hitting 9, you're knocking on near mints, because to me, that's like it's near to mint, because all you're looking at is like nothing barely. It's like a fucking fraction of something, but you got to be really high up there. But to me, I would say a 9 to 9.2 to 9.4, I would still consider very fine to near mint. Near mint to me has to be like fucking, you know, way up there, man. Like 9 9s, 10. That I consider near mint. You know what I mean? Like I don't know about no gem mint. I just it's just near mint. Because to me, the moment it comes off the presses, there's nothing mint to it. You know what I mean? It's like somebody handled that, grabbed that, and put it in something. It's not a gem mint. You know what I mean? That's something I always stuck to. It's not a gem mint.
That books right off the shelf, I consider them a 9.8.
That's a 9.8 off the shelf. You're not gonna get a near mint unless it comes off the press and some dude like grabbed it with like tongs and slid it right into a fucking grade. You know, then you're talking a mint. But the
put that bio suit on,
you know what I'm saying? Like that'll be a gem mint 10. But somebody grabbed that shit, put it in a box, shipped it out to a comic shop, and then had it on a rack.
They took it out and then put it on the rack.
Right. That's been handled, bro. This to me, the highest grade to me is a 9.8, if you could want to call it that. Very fine to near mint or near mint. You know, and that's how I grade it. I really have a big gap. There's not like I don't try to break it down to like 0.5 and points like that. Fuck that. No, it's roughly in a range. You know what I mean? That's why I don't really argue a lot with people, because we're kind of always within that range of people who know what they're looking at. You know?
I feel like the grading shit would be cool if people looked at it fucking like that. Like
right, like it's
close. It's
close. It doesn't need to be exact. Like, and to me, that exact shit is based on money.
Yeah, that exact over.
Is based on money, because once you start putting in a point something in there, now you're talking a couple $100 of differences.
Especially
you know what I mean?
So, books,
right, it's a pricey book based on that.
Between, like, I forgot what it was I saw. I just saw a book that it was the difference between a 9.6 and a 9.8 on the amount of money was huge.
Yeah,
it was a huge drop, and it's like, whoa. So yeah.
Who would pay double for a book that's 9.6 to get a 9.8? Like that's just not even. There's no real collector who would do that. You know what I'm saying? No. If you're one of these investor types or whatever, maybe. But why would I pay double for a book that's 9.6 to go up 0.2? It's basically the same book. Honestly.
It's the same goddamn book, man. Come on now. It's the same.
What is the difference?
Could have been a grader had a bad day that day.
Right, exactly. Right? It's all based on mood. Like
he didn't get laid that weekend, whatever it was. You know, he just had a bad day, and he was like, you know what, fuck this guy. He's getting a 9.4. You know?
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't.
Or he's not a big dealer. He doesn't submit a lot of books.
It's like I was, you know,
that little bit of love.
It's funny because it's like I was telling Paul. I was like, yo, if there was like this big like AI computer that has all these standards written based on how many ticks and inches away and colors and it goes through and scans the book and goes through every book and flips them and then ships it out and then gives it his grade, like that, I would be like, okay, now we got a standard. We got something that it is not biased. It just understands zeros and ones. It is not going to dictate by feeling. It's not going to dictate by his own ideal and perception. It is factual. You know, this is what it is. You know, then I would bow down and be like, yo, that's official. You know what I mean? I'll tip my hat and be like, yo, that's official. But we're not there yet. So now we're dealing with the consequences of what we're dealing today, where prices are being hiked up. You know, you got all this shit going on based on this goddamn number system. You know what I mean? And that's what it falls down to. It's this number system that is dictating the flow and ebb and flow of this comic income. You know what I mean? And I think that we're not going to talk about that right now because that's a whole nother show when it comes to pricing. But it kind of falls into this grading, because the grading, like what Skeme was saying, that everything now is near mint. Everything is a 9.0, you know, and it's ridiculous because this is coming from people who are either they know and they're playing games and they're trying to just fucking, you know, see if you're going to fall for the bait, or these are just unexperienced people who think honestly in their heart of hearts that, yeah, this is a fucking near mint book.
But let me ask you a question. Does it affect any one of us?
Of what?
Those wacky grades. If
you're trying to get the book, yes.
No.
Because they no, you gotta understand. Okay, now let me break it down. Now I'm gonna flip it on you, Skeme. In my story not too long ago, at the end of this month, I'm gonna have this talk about last price sold, right? Okay. Let's say some motherfucker put that up, right? That fucking busted ass book. And then now some asshole goes and buy it for $300 fucking when it's really a fucking $10 book, right?
Right.
I go look for that book in a high grade, and homeboy is like, oh, hold on, let me see the last book sold. Boop. And it's that motherfucking book.
Right.
On some bullshit. And now he's going to tell me, oh, well, look, it sold for $300. So I'm saying, though, I'll give you $250 for it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, you're going. So now that changed.
Everything is worth what someone's willing to pay for it.
To a point.
Yeah,
to
no,
a point.
It's not
to a point. Right.
Everything is worth what someone's willing to pay for it.
Correct. But it does dictate what you're trying. It does affect you if you're looking for that book, though. Because if you thinking,
how many times have you looked for that book? It affected you. You stopped looking for that book, and you found that book at the cheaper price.
I'll give you a perfect example.
Not everybody.
I'll give you a perfect fucking example, right? Yes, it has happened to me, right? But this is how, and it happened at King Khan, right? On the same day. Where's that book?
I saw this.
Where's that? Hold on, let me see.
Somebody had one book, and then you found it at another dealer at a cheaper price.
It
happens all the time.
You damn right. Now,
all the time.
No. Now, but that's different. That's live. That's not gonna affect me. But if he would have sold that book on eBay, and somebody would have went to eBay and looked at it, and it took away my chances of getting that book. Now, if I was someone else who was desperate, now I got taken for a sucker because somebody else who didn't do their homework paid that price.
Let me ask you a question. How many books are you hunting for right now to finish runs? 500? 1,000?
Roughly.
Right. Go search for 999, and then number 1 will pop back up on one of your other lists. Everything comes around.
No, it really does. No, and I'm not. No, everything comes around. No one is saying it doesn't come around. My argument here is not about books coming around. It's how they're being, graded, and the grading is based on their pricing. Now, now we're individualizing it. We're talking about people who are experienced. We're talking about people who've been doing it for a while.
Right.
Now we're very in this comic industry the way it is now. There ain't too many of us.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
we hold people's hands. If you want to buy that book for
right.
No, that's what I say.
On you. My question that is dictating the market, though. Yeah, that is causing the market to go up on other books that you
right. But then you will run into the dealer who is fair and who sells books at the right price. Not every dealer, every New York book, every West Coast book that's $100 book. My South Jersey dealer got it for $25 because he knows the real value of it. He's had a store for 40 years. He's been on the distributor side. He knows the real value, and he'll look at it and be like, "Dude, this is a $25 book. This isn't a $100 book with everybody selling it." You know what I'm saying? It's all about finding that dealer or dealers who are honest and fair.
Because everything that you're complaining about, Morbius, back in the days, there was a reason why somebody jacked up their book. It may not be the same reason today, but it was the same exact thing. And for me, as a comic book collector, the joy for me was saying, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna wait for this. If you're really sitting there trying to get the stuff back in the days, you had to be a little more patient. And I believe that patient applies even more so nowadays. And I think it comes around a little quicker than it was back in the days. So for me, I'm taking the good with the bad because it's the sword is sharp both ways. You see what I'm saying? So all these issues that you're saying, it's the same. People ran into those issues back in the day. Like, yo,
but there wasn't my man.
Nah, man, y'all going off track here. That's not what we're saying. We're not talking about getting books back and chasing books. We're not on that.
We're talking about the values and the prices being jacked up.
No, we're not talking about even the value of the prices. That's another show.
Phone, they'll check the website. They'll be like, nah, it's 80, 70, so,
We're looking at
back
the
in the
grade.
Day,
grade. It's the grade. Let's focus on the grade, guys. Yeah. We're looking at a grade. We're looking at a book that is graded. It's being told that we're graded at an 8.0. You look at the book, right? And they're telling you this book is $1,500 at an 8.0. Now, you got people out here. Now, we're saying this because we're talking about experience, where people have reached out and said, yo, look at this. It's 8.0, bro. They're selling me for $1,500. You know what I mean? Like, yo, this is a great deal, right? Look at this book. And you look at it and you're like, bro, did you look at the book?
And that person is hungry.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's what I'm saying.
I have nothing to do with that.
But no. It's not even. And this is a person who you would assume, people who are experienced in the game, who's been doing it for a while, but they get clouded because of the grade and because of the potential money that in their mind they're thinking, if CGC said this is 8.0, it's an 8.0, and they're not even looking at the book. So now these people are being their sense of grading is tainted now because they're no longer looking at the book.
We all knew crack was bad, but some people still smoked it.
And thank God it was none of us over here. But it goes back to, but it just, I understand that. It's about you.
I agree
it's about you.
Right.
I think what happened with CGC, the big thing is they started to dictate to collectors, not us per se, but other dudes, and maybe a lot of the up and coming people, what they should like expect or what to like in a book. In other words, like Morbius was saying, I say that all the time. I'll look at a slab and I'm like, I had someone sending me pictures of a slab. I'm thinking of buying it. Got Allen Iverson, but he was like, "Oh, what do you think of this book?" It was a 9.0, and I'm like, "Yeah, but it's got this big stain right." And he was like, "Oh, I didn't even see that," because he's looking at the number, and he's like,
looking at the number. Exactly.
Book. He saw.
Ultimately, like Krash is saying, and like Skeme saying, basically is true. Like it's not affecting me in the way because I'm not gonna overpay for like a inflated grade or price. So ultimately, I will just be like, peace, I'll get the next guy. But I just think overall, the mentality of like people don't know how to like look at a book and kind of assess, without like CGC quote unquote professional opinion, but it's questionable.
That happened because everything became cool and collectible. The MCU, CGC. If there was no MCU, no one would even give a shit about these books.
Absolutely.
Except for
and you know what? And I fucking wish they didn't give a fuck about these books. Because the fact that they gave a fuck about these books changed the fucking game and it became about money. That's the thing. You just said something, Skeme. They don't give a fuck about
it. And that's what I'm saying. So this starts before CGC. This is the MCU shit. People jumped on because of the MCU. That's when everything started wilding out. Yeah, forget the 8.0 and 9.0 slab. The MCU is ultimately the fuck up part, and the CGC just enabled it. Oh, just
because it allowed like novices to get in the hobby without really having that institutional knowledge of what they were looking at,
of what they were getting into. And it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, that you have people coming into this who are not aware or experienced to understand what they were getting even into.
Right.
And then because of that inexperience, we're at where we at right now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it led to a lot of things. Go ahead, Krash.
So for me, it always goes back to hip hop for me. I've been around hip hop long enough to remember when it wasn't on the radio, when it wasn't on TV. The same way the MCU came along and started putting people on to comic books and the potential of it, whether it be the value or the stories, whatever. It was the same thing with the commercialization of hip hop. They were able to price it up. They inflated it in a way where I wasn't feeling it. But at the end of the day, just like Skeme, I took the mind state of, you know what? Just because they're telling me that the best rap album this year is Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, when I know I've heard this Just Ice record that was way better, or this other record, just because they said that, I'm good. I'm cool with that, and let them keep thinking that. And at the whole time, I'm thinking they're not going to muddy my experience, and they're not going to tarnish what I believe in already to be what it is. Let them think what they think, because I'm not going to sound like the old man in the corner saying back in my day, because at that point, ain't nobody going to hear you. And the thing is, it's about imparting your wisdom to people that are going to listen to you and take you in. So, I mean, at least that for me, you know what I mean?
No, I agree with you on that 100%. And I think
same thing with what you're saying with this whole CGC thing, that people they throw in poison in the birth water, so you got to just kind of deal with it. Like, you know what, if that's what they're doing, I'm not going to give that energy. You know what I mean?
Right. No, but back to what Morbius was saying, though, it does start to affect the value of like.
It does start to affect us in our pockets, and not only us, but it also, the reason why we have these conversations, like Skeme was saying, yo, if it don't affect you, keep it moving. And that is 100%. But there are a lot of people who don't have that understanding, who don't have that capacity to really register that. So these conversations are important, Skeme.
Like, I can't hold your hand.
No, we're not gonna hold your hand.
You want to buy that book?
No, we're not holding nobody's hand over here.
I'm just saying, I'm gonna be there to buy it back at half the price that.
No, we ain't holding nobody's hand.
You know, it made me think of that though. You know, it's funny you just said it like that, because I think I said to Morbius when I was talking, the guy who was sending me this book and the price, and it was fucking crazy, and the book wasn't really even legit, the grade, and it was like, he can only sell that to another slabber for that price.
Right.
Like none of us would. I mean, we would know. Like, I don't care what the grade is. Look at like this stain or this crease. Or like, I might still be interested in the book at like a much reduced price, but he can only realize that money again if he sells to another dude like him.
Yep.
He ain't gonna sell it to us for that, you know.
Nah.
So I don't know. I guess we're the ones wilting away. So I guess he will have a lot of prospective buyers, but it won't be us.
You just gotta kind of roll with the punches, because I know I get pissed off at the fact that if I don't have a comic book pulled and I'm out there on the same day to pick up the book, I could not get that book. Back in the days, I can wait a couple weeks, go to the store, and still be able to get that book if I forgot to put it on my pull.
Okay, we got AER B-boy. He said, but numbers don't lie. Now, what do you mean by numbers don't lie now? You know what I mean? Because once again, you're talking about perspective. You know what I mean? Like, numbers don't lie. Where we going with that? So I'll let you clarify that real quick. But before we do, we got the homie Big Daddy John in the building. The brother got something to say. What's going on? Appreciate you coming back on, man.
How you doing, guys?
Brother, I'll give you the floor real quick. Let us know what your take on this, John.
Well, first, I just want to say nice to meet you, Krash and Skeme. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you, man.
So, listening to what you're saying, and I'm kind of in Morb's court because I'm an old guy. But you know, you go back to the old price.
I didn't pay him, guys. I'm not paying him.
Yeah,
you don't got a check coming, all right? This week. This week.
You go back to the old price guide. It wasn't about numbers.
Nope.
And you know, many years ago, I'm trying to think who the hell it was, but one of the higher ups came up with the 1 to 10 scale based on coins and things like that, right? So, you know, that's when you started to get into talking about slabbing. eBay changed things. You know, Skeme's right. Yes. Skeme's right. Man, the MCU caused a huge explosion
100%
in comic book prices. But eBay changed things too, because I mean, all of us that have been running around here looking for comic books, I mean, I looked everywhere for books, and when eBay hit, it was like, damn, now I can go out and I can get anything I want.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so then what happened? Okay, you got people that are getting ripped off. I mean, inherently, grading and prices or values are linked.
Yeah.
So, you know, you sit there and you go, all right, well, how much will I spend for this? And nobody likes to get that book on eBay and get it in and go, this dipshit doesn't know how to grade.
Yes.
Paul alluded to it earlier. You know, he goes, I'm not giving that guy 100% because the guy doesn't know how to grade. You know,
doesn't know how to grade. Exactly.
So, you know, I think what it comes down to is we need, and I don't know, I mean, you can't get two people in this community to agree.
Right.
You can't. It just ain't going to happen. But
and that's why I love it. That's what makes this show amazing.
But, you know, the reality of it is you're always going to walk into a dealer. And I mean, every dealer I deal with, and Paul knows them all, whether it's Rob or whether it's Fantasy Zone or it's Pleasant View or all the great dealers that we have around here, we're never going to fully agree on a grade. It's more of, hey, yeah, I'm willing to pay that, you know. Right.
But I just think, you know, it's getting hung up on like the grade. It's like, I look at the book, do I like it or not?
Right.
You may think it's this grade, I think it's this grade, but at the end of the day, the book fits my needs, the price is right, I like the way it looks. Some defects affect the grade more than others. Some defects I'm not as concerned about. If something's on the back cover, maybe that's less of an issue for me. but CGC grading the book, or even a strict person who's grading books raw, might count that against the book, like if it was on the front cover, like this. So there's a lot of like things. It's just it just doesn't need to be so precise. Just, yo, I'm calling it VF. I think it's fine. Let me look at it. Yeah, there's no big creases, no big chunks, whatever. I like this book, I'm gonna buy it. It's like now it has. It's too.
I've never seen Paul with a book with a blemish on it ever.
Yeah,
trust me.
He just don't show them like the rest of us.
Ever.
Yeah, nah, I got him, brother. Nah, but I mean, that's a years of hunting books and upgrading. Like a lot of books, we had it. We were younger, we read it, we abused it more. And got older, like, I want like this. This book's it's got a black edge, so it's tough to get like in higher grades. So my copy I had back in the day was kind of a beater.
Right.
It took a few years to kind of get a nicer copy. But anyway, the thing is, like, because John was starting to get into like the grade and agreeing and disagreeing. It's just like, do you like the book or not? And that's where I think CGC has infected people's brains, where like
mine too, Professor.
They would otherwise like a book. They would otherwise be cool with that book, but it's only a 7.0. Like I hear guys with 9.4 slabs, they want to upgrade. I'm like, the fuck are you upgrading to? Wow. You got a 9.4.
All right, guys, real quick. Not to cut you off, Paul. You saw what I posted today, right? Y'all saw what I posted, right? Fantastic 4, number 112.
Yep, that's like a 9.0.
All right, right? That's like a 9.0, right? So we're looking at very fine plus, you know what I mean? Right? Near mint, close to that, very fine, near mint, almost.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I got that book years ago. It was graded at a 7.0.
Who graded it?
Right. That's my fucking point of today. There it is.
You didn't care
right
about
there.
the number grade. You used your eye.
I used my fucking eye. When I saw that book, I was like, this is not a 7.0. All right. No fucking way.
Okay, so case in point, there's a record seller who always has the rarest shit. Like the rarest. He co-signs a lot of stuff. This guy will sell you like a record that's a 5.0, right? When you get it, you're like, shit, this is a 7.0, because he always undergrades everything. So when you get it, you're pleasantly surprised by it. He plays the safe route. So that person might have been like, yo, that's a 7.0 book.
No. It was literally graded by CGC.
Oh, it was graded by CGC.
That's what I'm saying. It was graded by CGC 7.0.
I didn't know it was graded by CGC.
Right. And I got that book about, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years ago. Maybe a little earlier than that, maybe 5 years ago. Because I know at that time it was cheap. It was really cheap.
CGC is not accurate. That breaks it.
Right. But see, now it ties into the topic of the show, of what I'm trying to relate to, that you have this book, right? That's a 7.0, and somebody who somewhat has some experience in looking at these books, like, I don't know, me. And then I looked at it, and at that time I was like, bro, this is not and he sold it to me for cheap. At the time, I don't remember. I think it was like, I don't know, $100 or something like that. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, yo, this is not a 7.0, man. I don't know what the inside looks like.
He didn't know.
No. He knew because it said it on the slab. And he was like,
he didn't know
this is a 7.0. Right. But because of his inexperience and his trust, right, and his expectation that CGC was giving him what they said they were delivering, and he accepted that based on his experience of what he understood at what a 7.0 or what I would consider a fine book.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when I looked at it, I understood that this book is not what they're claiming it is. So when he gave me the price, I took it like a fucking champ. I was like, yeah, I'll offer you whatever, 80, 90, whatever. I don't even remember. I know it was under $100 I paid for that book. Here you go.
Another man's game.
Right. But it's based on the fact of his trust on that grade.
Right.
It fell on the trust of the grade instead of his own knowledge and experience of him taking that time out to really do your homework and look at it. And that's what I'm saying, that we're at that point right now where this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with, people who are telling you, oh yeah, it's this grade because I'm satisfied of what I'm looking at, this number here. I'm not looking at the book. The number on top set it off for me. So I don't need to look at it, you know, and that's where we're at right now. And that's why I said, is CGC causing people to not know how to grade books anymore?
Yes,
they are. But I didn't put the crack in your hand. You picked it up on your own and smoked it.
Hey, listen, if my aunt Titi, you know what I'm saying, is acting the fool, you know, that's on her. But
you knew crack was wrong, but you smoked it.
She smoked that shit. It was on her, you know.
It's not reliable. So I'm gonna look at that book and I'm be like, whoa, the CGC grade ain't what it's supposed to be. I'm gonna pass on it. Or if it's really good and it's right, I'm like, I'm gonna take that. But like,
no, don't get me wrong. Like, I know architectural salute, man. I know you coming through. A little wear and tear, I don't mind for my original books. I gotta be honest. You know, my original books, I enjoy looking at them, and I'm like, man, I remember this shit. But being as fussy bitches as we are, like I say, me and Paul are, we are two little bitches. Like, we look at stuff and we're like, no, I got a little nick there. I don't want it. You know what I mean?
It's almost nice. It's got this one little fucking
you know, and you're like, I gotta pass up on it. I don't want it. And you know, and the next guy's like, I'll take that shit. You know, it's happened to me.
That's why his books are so crispy, right?
It's at a stand. But my original books, I do enjoy the fact of when I look at them that they're worn out, because when I look at it, it's almost like you could look at every nick on it and remember when you caused that. Like you could kind of remember that. You're like, I think that's when I slept on it. I remember I was like 15. I fell asleep. It was under me. And I think that's what happened with that part. But no, it happens. And I told Paul the other day, like, I ruined, you know, my What If number 9 because it was beat up book and I didn't know I had it. I was looking for it. In my COZ app, it said I had it. And I know I had it. I'm like, fuck, I wanted to do the reel. I'm like, man, I got a dope fucking What If number 1 volume. I could do this reel. I can't find my number 9. But I realized I had it in my drawer with a bunch of other beat up books that I was looking to upgrade. So that was my problem. I would take books out just so I could remember and be like, okay, I'm going to upgrade this one, upgrade this one, upgrade this one. I kept shoving books in there. So I tore the cover off of it because my dumbass had a raw copy thinking that it was in a fucking. So I tore the cover off, but it was already beat up. Trust me. It was like a fucking fair book, man. It was like, beat the.
Well, it's like that record scheme. So you know, other than the cover being ripped off, that shit was
right. You know what I'm saying? And of course, I upgraded it.
Or like I've seen people who will sell the record. The record will be mint, but it won't have the original cover. It'll just have a generic cover, and they'll be like mint, and they're still trying to sell the record at the cost of
a mint.
The sleeve,
like it's not complete.
Right. Yeah. Right. And you have people doing that with comic books now. I've seen people who can actually recreate the covers and then they're trying to resell it at a high price, and you're looking at this cover, you're like, man, this thing is like white and glossy. You're like, holy shit, how can this fucking book be so clean and yet the inside look like shit? And you're like, what's going on here? And then they'll be like, oh no, it's a reprint, you know, whatever, and then they have it for like $300-400, and you're like, bro, hell fucking no.
Right.
You're like, fuck out of here. Like, I'm not paying for a photocopy fucking, you know, cover. Like, nah, that's not happening. You know, but
here we go.
What you got there, John? What you got there, buddy?
What about books that have been sitting around slabbed for decades?
That's the old school.
This thing is like, it says off white. I'm like, there's no way.
So you know what you got to do, right, John?
That book is begging to get freedom, man.
That you got to crack the shit out of that motherfucker, brother. Crack that mother. I got one to crack with you. Let's do it.
No, sell that to some sucker and buy another white copy.
Exactly.
No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to take advantage of people. That's not what we're here for. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be those guys. We don't want to be those guys. That's why we do this show, to make sure people ain't falling for the scam. You know. But no, man, I think in general, guys, you guys all made a great point, you know, and that's why I love you guys. I love having you on here, because we are not 100% like clone of each other, which is great. You know, we all have our opinions, we all have our ideas, but at the end of the day, we do understand each other, which I find it phenomenal that we could do that, you know, at this time and age. And I think that we're able to do that, a lot of it because of the fact that we're at a point in our lives that we have so much understanding and experience in this, that we could kind of like be like, yeah, I get what you're saying. This is where I'm at, but I understand what you're saying based on our experience, you know? And I think that a lot of experience has a lot to play in what this topic today is about. And that's something that I wanted to touch on a little bit, was that we need to be careful, you know, where we're out here and you're coming into this game and you're relying on, you know, a number system or someone outside, a third party, to tell you that this book is what it is. And, you know, at the end of the day, if you want to do your homework, do your homework. If you don't, you don't. And if you want to get got, you got. You know what I mean? That's on you. But also, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the way the game's supposed to be. You know, and I think that that's why I have these conversations, because it's like, yeah, I understand that, you know, it all falls on you and this is the way it is, but it don't necessarily got to be that way. And I feel like if we keep putting it out there, you know what I mean, it might plant some seeds and maybe not to the right person, but at the end of the day, I feel that we're doing this community a service by having these conversations.
If you educate one person, then you're off to a good start.
Exactly. And if one person could take away from this and build off this, I believe it's very important.
But you know the saying is, it always gets worse before it gets better.
It does. And you know what?
So we're at an all-time high.
You just said some shit right now. My manager, I had a meeting today, and the owner of the company said that same fucking thing you just said right now. He said that where we're at right now, and I'm not talking about the job. He was talking about something else. He was talking about the whole politics that's going on, Ukraine, the war, all this stuff. And he was saying that things need to get worse before we could see some good.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny how you just said that, man. Serendipity, man. I'm telling you, that's weird. But it makes a lot of sense, because exactly why we're having this conversation, why me and Paul had this conversation, that we're saying like, man, things are getting so bad that we're at a point that look where we're at right now, that people ain't even looking at books anymore. They're not even giving a fuck about what the book looks like. They're already like delusional and like clouded by just the number. So the moment
that was like the trickle down of it,
right? It's almost like they get hypnotized. You know, they see the number and they're like, really, "Oh, this is what it is." Books,
just worried about the value, not into
the value, whatever it is.
Grade, worried about the flip, worried about the speculation, worried about everything other than just, I don't know, fucking opening the book and reading it. You know, so it's like, I guess, yeah. So we're not even still like we can still. I guess it's gonna be worse. You know, eventually maybe that'll weed all those people out, and then we can get back to the more, you know,
right. The fat'll run dry with a lot of people.
Yeah,
it'll run dry. It's going to take time. As long as Marvel keeps pushing out, Disney keeps pushing out movies, it's going to be a minute.
Yeah, it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. You know, and as we know, a lot of people in this game, a big majority of these people are in it for the money. Right. So eventually, when that money starts to dry out, you know what I mean? They start to fall off.
Right.
You know, it's no longer a good investment.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not paying bills anymore. So they're going to kind of find something else. And the people who actually were in it just for the books, you know, that's where we're going to start to flourish and get back to that. But it's going to be maybe another 10, 15 years. Who knows?
Yeah, it's going to be a minute.
It's going to be a little while. It's not going to happen, you know, next year, guys. You know, and unfortunately, you know, for us, it sucks. And fortunately, for those who are in it for the bank, they're making bank right now, right. You know, and I'm not knocking your hustle, because I know people who make their money. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I'm not going to sit here and act like shit is sweet. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and act like it's not happening. Right. You know, and we need to address this and at least let people know, like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, something's got to change, especially when we get to a point where.
Did you have the same attitude when crack was being sold in the neighborhood, Morb? Did you go around the neighborhood with picket fences and being like, stop it, stop the crack?
You know what, Skeme? Skeme, I'm going to keep it 100 with you, my G. I'm going to keep it 100 with you, my G. Now, see, I took the glasses off, right? I'm going to take the hat off. I'm going to take the hat off, bro. Just let people know I ain't bald. I'm going to tell you something, Skeme. I lived on 164th Street, 1005 Walton Avenue, right? I was born and raised right next to Yankee Stadium. I was born next to one of the biggest crack, cocaine, PCP spots, right on the corner of the corner store. So when I would go through,
LL was that?
Yes, Big Larry ran the block. Big Larry ran the block, right? So check it out. When I was 10 years old, because everybody, for some reason, my lobby doors never worked, right? So when they would buy their shit, they would always come to my building, come inside, go to the roof, and smoke this shit, right? So when I was 10 years old, mind you, I lived next to Yankee Stadium. So I had a lot of access to those Yankee bats. Not only me, but all the dudes I grew up with. You know, we would go to games and get the little Yankee bats. I got plenty of them, you know, all the white one, the blue ones, I got them all. So we made batons out of them. Mind you, I am 10 years old, going on 11, 12. We would kick out these crackheads that would come into, that was my way of rebelling and protecting my building. I put this on my seeds, my dude. I put this on everything. Krash, you already know the story. Paul, you already know the story. Listen, I was fucking crackheads up before I even had hair on my balls, bro. You know what I'm saying? This is real talk, guys. I'm talking real to y'all. Because Skeme said something that I was like, you know what? I've always been a forefront. I've always been a frontliner.
We can tell. We can tell. Because you're always passionate about what you believe.
Always, my dude. So when I was 10 years old, I was the shortest one. And I'm still the shortest one out of all you motherfuckers. Fuck y'all. So I'm the shortest one, right?
I'm the fattest one.
Man, listen, brother, you can make that work. Trust me. So you know, so they would send me up to the roof, you know, right before the rooftop, they had them little extra stairs right before it led to the roof. Yeah. So, you know, there was smoke right there. So I would come up 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. I would walk up to them and we had the bats right in here. We made them like batons. You remember the clothing wire, the clothing line? So we used that, wrapped it up, made a loop with duct tape, and I would slide it up my arm so you wouldn't see it. So I'll be there like, yo, man, y'all guys got to go. And they'd be like, what? They see this little, you know, little chamack, like little shorty, like, what? And I'm like, yo, I'm telling y'all right now, man, y'all got to stop what y'all doing and get the fuck out of my building. And they'd be like, man, get the fuck out of here. And I'll be like, a word? And then right there, you see like fucking 15 other motherfuckers. Whoop, I pull out my bat. Boop, 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 boop. Fucking start beating them. Everybody start coming out. The woodworks, all my boys coming up, beating them. We dragging them out the stairs. And it became routine that by the time I was 12, 13, people were knocking on my door. Knocking on my door like, yo, there's crackheads upstairs. Like the vecinos, you know what I mean? Like the next door neighbors, like, mira, yo, subieron allá arriba, están fumando. You know what I mean? And we'd be like, yo, hold on a second. Yo, Joseph, yo, Paul, yo, everybody, yo, they're smoking up the block, grab your bats. You know what I mean? And we all come upstairs and the same routine. They'll send me first because I'm the smallest one to get them amped. You know what I mean? Let them sleep a little bit. You know, I've had guns pulled on me when I was 13. I had all types of shit, knives and shit. And we figured it out. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. It's like, at the end of the day, you know, if you're not passionate about something, if you're not really about that, right, you know, you're not going to care about it. So it goes back to these guys who are flipping these books, you know, that only care about these grades. And it's like, they don't really give a shit about these books. So to them, you know, upsetting the economic value of these books doesn't matter because it's beneficial to them. Right. You know, but when those, like you said, Skeme, in a couple of years, when those books no longer have that steam, you know what I mean? They're gonna wash out. You know what I mean? They're gonna leave. You know what I mean? And we're gonna prosper. Hopefully, I'm hoping.
People are always gonna sell books. People are always gonna sell books.
Always. You know what I mean?
Like, I overspent for this, so let me get out of this now while
it's
still worth $250.
Right. Yo, it's funny. Real quick, I know I'm changing the subject. Hero for Hire. He says some shit because when I read Hero for Hire, I dressed up in black. I had the stick. You know, I was into the Ninja Turtles at the time, so I had the big staff. My brother had the nunchucks, and we used to train. I used to.
Yo, I didn't know you went taxi driver though with like the bat.
Hell yeah, man! You used to slide that shit right out the arm, nigga. We used to be fucking crackheads up. So we used to train at night. My parents had no clue. We told them this shit like years later. We would sneak out the house like at 1 or 2. Me and my brother put on. You would take a T-shirt and wrap it around your head and make it look like a ninja. You know what I mean? And then we would have the ninja slippers. We had all that, the Chinese slippers, you know? So you had everything. You thought you was a ninja. You had
to be a kid again.
Yo, bro, it was the best. And we were like cockroaches on the wall. Like we were like, we're trying to, because our whole thing was not touch the floor. So you know the stairwell, as you have the banister that keeps going up. So we would climb up the banister, you know, through the floors, and we wouldn't touch nothing. And then you had that drunk person coming home late at night, and we'll just be there in the banister, like, you know, and they'll be looking at us like, you're Louis' son? You know what I mean? You're like, they'll call out my dad's name, and I'll be like, Don't say nothing. They're like, yo, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Shh, don't say nothing.
Training.
But to us, we're training. Like, that was our mentality. Like, we had a crew called Blue Mondays. Like, it was me and 3 other guys, me, my brother, and my other, and we all had code names. We were training. Like, we were protecting our building. Like, we really was like, yo, you not coming in here. I don't give a fuck who you are. You're not coming in my building to smoke nothing. You know what I mean? You getting your ass fucked up. You know, and that's the mentality, you know, of that we had back in the days, you know, that we wanted to protect our own. And I think it kind of transcends to now where I'm doing this show, where it's like, you know what, man, I want to really hold this community down, and I want to keep it true into its purest form and not let it get diluted, you know. And I think that kind of, you know, transcended to where I'm at now in that mentality, where I don't want to let this shit, you know, go to the wayside where nobody's going to give a fuck about the books anymore when it's all about the books. This is why we got into this. Is why these movies are being made. It's because of the fucking books. Like, the directors read these books and they're like, oh my God, I want to make a movie based on this book. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of like, you know, but like, I know I got off track and all that, but I wanted to.
I know, but actually it ties in though. Listen, I just had a thought. Listen, you speak on that. I know what Skeme kind of started to say. How you said, you know, you bring that passion to the hobby, like, you know, you got like and you kind of the defender of stuff a little bit, you know, and it's like, not to tie it into to get political and all that, but like, you know, sometimes people wonder, well, how do certain people get in power? And it's like, because the populace just kind of gets apathetic towards everything, and they're just not, like, you know, they're just going with the flow, and next thing you know, you got some asshole in charge, you know, and it's like, that's how things happen. So eventually that could happen. You know, obviously this is a hobby, it's not fucking world geopolitical, but I'm just saying, next thing you know, that's the predominant species in the hobby, is these slabbers and people worried about speculation, and the actual readers and collectors are gone, you know. And it's like, oh, what happened to them? Well, you know, there just wasn't enough of them to kind of fucking push back.
Right. Exactly.
There's a lot of people entering the hobby. I mean, since COVID hit, you know, Instagram, I think, brought a lot of people into the hobby. And I think, you know, as we've been talking through this, one of the things that I've been thinking about is, how do we, you know, teach these people this? And I think you're doing it, Morb. You're putting out this show every week, and, you know, it's out there. People can watch it and get an education that is not the norm, not go off and get, you know, everything slabbed. I mean, hey, here you go.
There we go. Golden. Oh,
don't need these things, guys. You really want to wait? You really want your books to sit someplace for a year? Come on, man.
Come on. You know
how to read. Learn how to grade your books.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I do. But like I said, if it ain't, and I was talking to Paul earlier before that, I realized that a lot of people are really afraid to express themselves, you know, and that's why I did this show. One of the reasons why, you know, because when I put the link in the chat, it kind of seems like it's the same people, you know, that keep coming in, and a lot of people and guys, man, don't be afraid to express yourself, man. It's okay. You know, we all have differences of opinion. As you can see, all of us here have many differences of opinion, but at the end of the day, we all respect each other. We all take what each one is saying and we respect that and analyze it and apply it to our life, because you got to understand that not everybody's going to be the same, and it's okay. It's okay with that. We live in a world of individuality. We all have our own perception and reality, but we have to be able to you know, to coincide with each other and work with each other. And that's why this show is very important. Not for me. It's really not for me. I do it because I feel that there's a need for it. You know, and when I see that the people are kind of like timid, I've had people hit me up, man, and they're like, you know, I have this idea, but I don't want to come on the show. And it's like, I respect it, and I'm not going to knock it.
TV. Everybody's not for TV.
Not everybody's for TV, so I respect that. But at the same time, it's like, you shouldn't feel that way.
Right.
You shouldn't have to feel that way. You should be able to feel that you have that door open and you have that opportunity, and you shouldn't feel like you need to hold back because of your peers, you know? And I think that is something that happens a lot in our community because, of course, you know, we're in a big jerk circle. Let's keep it real. You know, this is one big jerk circle, and we all jerk each other off.
except for when Krash doesn't like Kirby. We didn't jerk.
Yeah.
Nah, ain't
that
nobody
was-
jerking Krash off with that shit, man. Fuck that.
That was
Krash
fighting
was on
words,
his
man.
own.
Come on, man.
He was by himself on that one, bro. But nah, but seriously. But you know, in the sense, you know,
Hey,
I think
I
that
spoke my opinion, right?
you see exactly, and he's still on the
Franco's
show.
king.
And he's still on the show. Look at him. He's still here. We ain't canceled. We ain't canceled Krash. But you know, and I think that that's something that, you know, we need to really think about, you know, in this community, that it's okay to have difference of opinion, guys. It's okay to express yourself how you want to express yourself, because that's why I like having this platform, and I like putting now. Have y'all noticed I'm doing a lot of open discussions because I want people to come on. You know what I mean? I want people to just be like, hey, Morbius, I don't agree with you. You know what I mean? Because of this. And you know what? You might say something that I've never thought about. And I'm going to be like, holy shit. And I'm going to be transparent, and I'm going to tell you, never thought about it that way. I might apply that to my life now. You know what I mean? I might change things around and might think a little differently. And that's something that, like I always say, Justin helped me a lot in looking at things differently, you know, and I was very close-minded, and it helped me to open my mind, and that helped me to be okay with people having differences of opinion.
Krash, Kirby is king. So open up your mind a little bit.
Krash, you
bow down,
brother. Bow down to the king.
He
Hey,
inspired.
Krash, I didn't like Kirby in the beginning either, dude.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You remind me of my boy. Me and my boy had the biggest argument, man. We were in my house, man. We fucking went at it. He's like, yo, look at this motherfucker. Yo, it's garbage. And I'm like, what are you saying, son? It's like, what? He made the 4T, like the Ford Model T. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you wouldn't have a fucking Corvette without fucking Kirby. Like,
Right.
You know what I mean? But anyway, that's a whole other subject. But guys, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody in the chat, everybody checking this out, man. And it was a great discussion. Like, once again, guys, just do your homework. You know what I mean? Don't rely on a number. Look at the fucking
buy the book you like.
Buy what you like. Buy what you're into. Like I was saying, I wasn't a big Namor guy, so you're not gonna see a lot of Namor books in my collection. That just wasn't my thing. You know what I mean? And just because I appreciate it, great covers. So I might pick up some great covers, but I'm not trying to finish no Namor runs. I'm not trying to get all crazy with Namor. That's not my guy.
Man. Like Krash with Kirby, man. Bend your knee.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's a dope one. You know what I mean? So I appreciate it, but I'm not gonna be on some shit just because, you know, everyone
I didn't
else
appreciate him when I was younger either, so I get you.
You know what I'm saying? And it's okay. And that's what I'm putting it out there just to let y'all know it's okay. You know what I mean?
It's okay, Krash. It's okay. Don't cry, Krash.
It's okay. It's okay, Krash. You know what I mean?
Wait, turn to a pick on Krash moment. Hey, we're gonna continue speaking our truth to power. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're here for. We speak our truth to our power. So you know what I'm saying? Kirby ain't got. All right, I just keep it at that.
There you go. Hey, we're about to extend this to another hour. You keep talking, son. Let's just stop right now. But now, brothers, I appreciate you. Thank you for everybody in the chat. I know we went over a little bit of our time, but you already know how it is when you got passionate people talking about a passionate subject that we enjoy and love, which is comic books. So thank you for everybody who's tuning in. Thank you for everybody who's catching the replay. Make sure you follow and subscribe to these guys if you're not. And if you're not following any of these guys on Instagram, take that comic book that's next to you and slap yourself 30 times with it. Please do that, because these are amazing gentlemen, and you're gonna do nothing but learn from these gentlemen. Because if you don't know,
getting knuckled up next time we see him. By the way,
you know what I'm saying?
Talking a lot of Kirby shit on here.
I feel like the baby of this crew right here. You know what I mean? Like all these brothers.
Did he say Kirby is kind of ass? I need to holler at Sove. Sove
said that. Hold on. What's Sove? So
conversation next time.
So you know what? We're gonna have a conversation about that. We're gonna bring you and Krash on, and we're gonna bring the rest of the horsemen. John, you're more than welcome to come on.
Let's do it.
We're gonna have this conversation, bro, because you just pissed me off right now. I'm gonna call you right now.
It's gonna be a 6-man.
We're gonna
I'll be there with Krash.
Stove, we're gonna talk, bro. We're gonna talk, man. I think Ghostwriter got to your head, brother. We're gonna talk. You know what I'm saying?
Right? So you big Plug fan, but Kirby's ass? Come on, bro.
Come on, bro. You can't say that shit. You know? Bash it. Oh, what he said over here? Hold on. Who's this? Leroy? Damn, bashing on Kirby and
I feel
Namor.
you on
Fuck
that,
this.
Leroy.
Hey,
Come on
hey,
now.
ain't nobody bashing on Namor. Nobody was bad. So, you know, I give props to Namor, man. Fucking Sov and Krash are literally fucking shitting on Kirby right now.
I don't know why I didn't like Namor when I was a kid. He just wasn't really like.
He just
popular
wasn't,
in
you know, the
80s.
only thing I'm gonna say about Namor, he was a pimp. You know, if that was your lady, you better watch out, son. He was coming for your woman.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't play. He saw Sue Richards. He was just
Wow,
like,
Sov's
bang,
even
bang.
doubling down. He doesn't like Ramita either.
Ramita.
All
right, we
Oh,
gotta
hold
go.
on. That's it. We're done.
We gotta
We're
go.
done.
Hold up.
We're done. Okay, we're done. That's it. Show's over. We're not gonna. I'm not gonna entertain your shit's over. Right? I'm done. You know.
Pushing buttons,
But guys,
triggering you.
once again,
Wow.
man,
Triggering you.
I've never heard anybody say they don't like Ramita.
never, bro, never. But we're gonna have this. I think he's trying to trigger people. I think that's what
Yeah,
it is.
nah,
He's trying to trigger. He's trying to
He's
trigger.
trolling, bro. He's trolling.
Once again, man, like the 50th time I said it. I know Paul always tells me that. He's like, he always say peace out like 30 times.
I know.
Peace
It's tough,
out. We out of here, bro. Y'all already know. Love you guys. Catch the replay. Make sure you
Take
follow
care,
these
guys.
guys. Peace.
Peace.